Welcome, everyone. This week's topic is mentoring, the law of light, and the art of inquiry. And the law of light basically states that the answers to your questions are available. They're out there. There might be more than one right answer, but we can get to answers to challenges you're facing, to questions that you have, to issues you might need to have resolved. And the art of inquiry is you're not going to get to the answers unless you ask. And there are two parts of this week's personal creed document. I'll show you a couple of examples at the end of our little discussion tonight. It's kind of like 1A and 1B. And you'll notice that it's going to be in one form. It used to be that we had this divided into two separate submissions worth 25 points. They combined it to one submission. That's good for you. It's easier for you. But it's 50 points. So this week's personal creed document, which may or may not be bigger or smaller than other ones, is worth 50 points. So you're going to have two sections. The first section, or the first part, is going to be finding and connecting with a mentor and asking them some advice. This could be a professional mentor, a family mentor, a parent mentor, a sibling, anybody. But then just record briefly, the advice I got from my mentor is. And then the second part is you're going to create a board of advisors. And the best way to describe your board of advisors, you could think that you're the CEO of a company. You actually kind of are the CEO of you. And if you could have 4, 5, 6, no set number of people around the table, that who would you want around the table, and just maybe a sentence or two about why these people are around your table. And this can be kind of a figurative exercise, meaning you're probably not going to be able to get all 5 of these people or 6 people around the table by logistics reasons. A lot of people, myself included, have on their board of advisors the Savior. Well, I can't invite the Savior to my meeting. I have on my board of advisors my mission president, Robert Sackley, and he's been passed away. He's been gone for 20 years probably, but I still know him and admire him, and I can't get him to come, right? Other people on my board I can. My wife, my kids, my mom and dad are both still living. I can get them around my table, literally, but I can call them and say, hey, I've got this question, I've got this challenge. What advice can you give me, or how can you help me? So I'll show you an example of that here in a minute, but along that line, you do have your insight assignment this week is to sign up for a community that we have available to our BYU Idaho students. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I want to talk just briefly about this concept of networking. So let me ask this question, and you guys can let me open up chat so I can see you respond, or you can unmute your mic. Networking and mentoring can be similar, but they might be different, right? Sometimes we network to get other or new mentors in our lives. Now, in my daytime job at the college is managing the Career Center. And our job is to help you get jobs. And some of you I know are on different kind of spectrums on the journey to employment. Some of you might currently be in your full-time professional job and you're just taking a class or you're finishing up a degree. Others of you might be brand new freshmen and you've got some time ahead of you until you're going to be looking for an internship or a job. And our goal here is to help you learn how to network effectively. So I'm going to share a story, or one story in particular, about what I think is the most effective way to get mentoring help. And this is going to be specifically for professional mentoring help. So please chime in. Anybody have any questions before we launch into networking, the topic of networking and mentoring? Any questions or comments? Okay. Someone just throw something up on chat so I know that I'm being heard. Please, say, yes, I hear you. I see Braden typing, so thank you.
I hear you.
Okay, awesome. All right, so this is our definition of networking. Networking, we believe, is finding the right people and asking them the right questions. So I want you to think about this in light of this week's law and art. Finding the right people, the art of inquiry, and asking them the right questions, which will lead to the answers that just might help you. That's the law of light. Now, if we do a good job of this, we will have more confidence that we're on the right career path. We will build relationships, we'll open doors. Now, the interesting challenge, and this is, actually I just added this slide, so this is out of order for me, but that's okay, it's important. As you're looking for mentors and seeking help, you'll have more luck if the people have these three things in common. And if they have all three, it's going to be better. The first one is, do they have any linkage with you? Linkage could be they are alumni of BYU Idaho, they're members of the church, they might be in the major or were in the major you're in, they might be in the profession you're aspiring to be in. The second question is, do they have any interest in helping? And do they have the ability to open a door, to give advice, to make something happen for you? Now, Steve Jobs said, and I've used this quote before, but it's enough of a quote that powerful enough quote that I'm going to use it a second time for you. As he said, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Now, a study, and I'm going to show you a second slide that's from the same study, tells us from Forbes magazine that only 13% of Americans love their jobs. Now, when I say 13%, this isn't the cook at McDonald's, right? Or the paper delivery or the bagger at the grocery store. This is 13% of people in their professional jobs with their degrees, and they've been working. Only 13% love their jobs. So that means there's a lot of people that are just getting by day and getting a paycheck, and they don't really thrive, love what they do. Well, according to Steve Jobs, if you're in a job you love, that you're passionate about, you will do a better job because you're excited to be doing that. Now, the other reason this is impactful is some statistics tell us from the same article from Forbes magazine, 80% of jobs that are open are not advertised. So a company could be wanting to hire an auditor or an accountant or a marketing person or a technician of some sort. 4 out of 5 times, those jobs are not going to be posted on Indeed.com, on Monster, on LinkedIn. They're not going to be posted. And so in order to find out about those kind of openings, you need to be networking. When they do post a job, the average number of applicants for a corporate job in America, when I say corporate, this is for a company like Microsoft or Adobe or Google, not your local small potato shop, okay? The average number of applicants is going to be 250. 50% of those applications are not seen by a hiring manager. 13% are going to be seen by the hiring manager, and in the end, they're going to interview about 3. So what you're facing in the job search is your resume in a stack of a couple hundred. And the chances of you being seen by the hiring manager aren't that great. So the steps that you need to take, and this reality, friends hire friends, or they hire somebody that a trusted friend has recommended. So networking to get to relationships is super, super valuable, okay? Now, in order to get a job, we recommend, or an internship, we recommend that you follow these 3 steps. Number 1, you should have a really good resume. Number 2, you should spend some time networking. And number 3, you should find open jobs and submit applications. Now, I'm going to put this on chat because I should add a slide and I just haven't done it. If you want your resume worked over, go to vmock.com. This is a free service that the university pays for. And go to www.vmock.com/BYUI. And you can upload your resume, and this system will kind of beat it up, right? So I've been the director of the Career Center for a couple of years. When I loaded as a possible 100 points resume score, when I uploaded my resume, which I have worked on and fussed over and had it looked at, I got like a 56 out of 100. That's an F. By the time I was done with BMOC, I got a 94. And that resource is awesome and it's free. So if you want your resume reviewed, fine-tuned, enhanced, go to vmock.com/BYUI. Okay. All right. Next, has anybody watched this talk? Christopher Galbraith's talk about, he gave it Power to Become on Campus. Has anybody seen this talk? Share with me on chat, or you can unmute your mic and talk to me. Okay, a couple of you have. Thank you, Sammy. I'm just going to tell the story briefly, okay, because it's a really good example of how to network smartly to get your foot in the door, okay? Now, when I shared the slide about how many resumes people look at and applications, the traditional way to apply for a job is to go through the front door. The front door approach is send in an application, hope and pray that it gets seen by a hiring manager, hope your resume and cover letter are outstanding enough that they're going to want to talk to you. It works, obviously, but it's competitive and challenging. This is how you network through the back door. So this is Christopher Galbraith. Christopher Galbraith is a close enough friend of mine that I actually named my 3rd son Christopher after him. Well, when Christopher was a junior at BYU Idaho, he decided, I want to work on Wall Street. So I want you guys to think about this. How many BYU Idaho alumni, obviously you can jump ahead and assume he got to Wall Street. How many BYU Idaho alumni do you think got hired by Wall Street firms before Christopher? The answer, as far as we can tell, is 0, right? And Wall Street, they do recruit, but not here. They recruit at Harvard and, the Ivy League schools, Yale, Princeton, others like that. Well, Christopher said, I want to get to Wall Street. I'm at BYU Idaho. How do I do that? Okay. Well, he talked to all of his professors and he ended up with one name that one professor knew that was an LDS member of the church that worked on Wall Street. And Christopher said before he got too nervous, he bought a plane ticket to fly out to New York City to meet with that one person. But he was going to be there for 4 days, and he didn't want to meet with just one. He wanted to meet with as many as he could. So let me guys, I want someone to be brave enough to unmute their mic because this is a really good question. If you were, and Christopher, someone who's not seen the talk, if you were going to go to Wall Street and you wanted to meet with 30 and not one, what would you do next? What would you do once you landed? Once you got to New York City? You can type in chat too if you want to. Any ideas?
Go to Wall Street.
Go to Wall Street. Thank you, Natalie. Okay, good. Any other ideas? Okay, think linkage, interest, and ability. If I want to go to Wall Street, how would I find Wall Street professionals that had something in common with me that might be a little more interested and have the ability to help? Going to Wall Street is a good idea. Any ideas? Think linkage, interest, and ability. Okay, so Jefferson says mention religion or family. Excellent. Okay, Maybe look for BYU-I alumni. Okay. He tried that, couldn't find any. A next logical step would be to look for BYU alumni, right? Because they obviously probably have some, not a ton. Okay. This is another one. Ask the person you are there to see if they can think. Okay, that might be one of the central parts of this message. The number one networking question is, who else? So one person he knows he's meeting. Who else you know that I should be talking to? Okay. And then you go talk to them and you ask, who else do you know that I should be talking to? Okay. All right. You guys are really close, kind of close. Any other ideas? Okay, I'm going to give you a hint. This will help. Christopher landed in New York City on Saturday. His first full day in New York City was Sunday. Wall Street's closed. What do you think he did? He went to church. Okay, ask your local bishop. Good idea too, Karina. Thank you. So actually, and Kate says it right. He attended as many wards as he could. Well, back then it was still the 3-hour block. So he went to 2 blocks of meetings at some chapel near Wall Street. He goes to the missionaries and he says to the missionaries, would you point out to me anybody that walks into this chapel that works on Wall Street, and would you introduce me? Shook hands. Hi, my name is Christopher. I'm out here from BYU, Idaho. Could I come meet with you just for about 15 minutes this week to pick your brain about your career on Wall Street? Almost all of them said, happy to do it. And so from Monday through Wednesday, the next 3 days, he was booked solid, meeting with LDS professionals working on Wall Street. And he talked to them, and on that first trip, he was invited to interview for one opening at Morgan Stanley. And he got an interview, and he kind of bombed it. He didn't get anything from the interview. He comes back to Rexburg. He comes into my office, and he says, I said, how'd it go? And he says, it went pretty well, but I didn't get any solid internship or job leads, but I made some good connections. 4 months later, Christopher makes a second trip to Wall Street. On trip 2, he meets some of the same people, and he meets some more. And on the second trip, he's even more prepared, and he's been developing some relationships. And on the second trip, he ends up with 3 now interviews. Morgan Stanley a second time, Goldman Sachs, and Credit Suisse. Okay? No, wrong. Not Credit Suisse. Yeah, Credit Suisse. Okay? On that trip, he ends up with 3 job offers, and he takes the job with Credit Suisse. Okay? Now, in the Power to Become talk that he gave, in the audience was Briar Carlisle. Okay? Briar comes into my office on Monday and he says, I want to do what Christopher did at Nike headquarters, Beaverton, Oregon. And we actually got Christopher connected with Briar. Briar coached Christopher coached Briar. We used LinkedIn this time, and we found that we had 4 BYU Idaho alumni working at Nike headquarters. We reached out to those 4 BYU Idaho alumni. We also went to BYU Provo alumni and found 7 more. Briar flies out to Oregon. Christopher's coaching him. He meets with them and talks to them, and he ends up getting a job offer at Nike. Okay? So let's tell you what this is called. This is what we call networking through the informational interview. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about the law of light and the art of inquiry. This simple. Christopher went out to New York City. Briar went out to Beaverton. They found the right people and asked them the right questions. Okay? And we remind people that when they do this informational interviewing, this networking through the informational interview, to don't ask for a job. Okay? The fact that you're looking for something that's going to be apparent. So these are the steps that we tell people to do. Find out what the information you want. Christopher wants to learn about Wall Street. Find connections, the LDS Church, LinkedIn, the Alumni Network. Make an appointment with them and keep it brief. Christopher would say 15 minutes tops. Have an agenda, be professional, show genuine interest, be prepared to answer questions about what you're looking for, get names, send thank you follow-up letters, follow-up requests. Now, Christopher came back and spoke at Power to Become a second time, and I took him to lunch, and I said, Christopher, since your first talk, I've been telling your story on average about 100 times a year in classes. I want to make sure I'm telling your story right. And he said, okay, yeah, you're telling it right. And you actually have one of the names right. So I want you to think about this process. Christopher goes out to New York City. The missionaries introduce him to Bob. Bob works at Credit Suisse. And Christopher spends 15 minutes in his office. He's asked good questions. He's early. He's dressed right. Bob seems interested in spending that 15 minutes with him and answering his questions. Christopher comes back to Rexburg, and Bob goes back to his 70-hour-a-week Wall Street job. How long is it? This is a super important question. I'm going to ask you two really important questions. How long is it going to be until Bob forgets Christopher?
About a day.
Maybe a day. Okay. Second important question. Whose job is it to make sure that Bob doesn't forget Christopher?
Christopher.
Awesome. You guys are on it. Thank you. It's Christopher's job. Okay. Yes, it's his job. So this is the magic of what happened during the interview. And here are the questions. Okay. I'm just going to summarize these. Actually, the most important question is number 11. We'll call it 1.1. The questions Christopher asked, and while he's asking these questions, he's doing two important things. Number one, he's trying to determine if Bob has any interest in helping him. Does Bob seem interested? Does it seem like he cares? And if the answer is yes, then Christopher is going to take some notes, and then this is the magical step I'll tell you in a minute. The second thing he's going to do is find reasons to follow up. So let's look at question number 11. Bob, thank you for our time together. Who else do you know that I should be talking to? Bob says, you should go meet Jim across the street at Morgan Stanley. What does Christopher do with Jim? And then the second question is, what does he do after he meets with Jim? Any ideas? He returns and reports to Bob. Okay. Let's look at question number 7. Question number 8. What kind of books do you like to read and have made the most influence in your life, impact in your life? Bob says, you should read this book. Christopher reads the book and he returns and reports. Bob, I'm in the book. I'm halfway through it. I finished the book. I've got a couple more questions for you. Number 7, what in your life inspires you? Oh, we both love fly fishing or mountain biking or art or the Utah Jazz or something, okay? So the questions that I'm just going to do this super fast. How did you get involved at Credit Suisse? What advice would you give me? What do you love about what you do? Where did you go to school? Where did you study? What things do you like to do outside of work? What inspires you? What books have you read? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Anything I can do for you would be another way to do 10. And number 11, who else you know I should be talking to? Christopher making a note. I need to go meet Jim. I need to read this book. He went to Harvard. Christopher actually went to Harvard after his jobs on Wall Street. And then for the next 4 months, between trip 1 and trip 2, Christopher is in a pretty regular, natural, and productive correspondence with Bob. When he comes back on second trip, Bob knows he's coming. Bob spent the last 4 months communicating with Christopher. When Christopher comes back on trip 2, he's more prepared. He's done everything that Bob asks. Bob can see that he's done all of these things. they've become, this is super important, they've become friends. Bob has an opening. Bob takes Christopher down to the HR office and says, hey, this is Christopher, please take his resume. I want him on my team. Bob hires Christopher. Okay, does that make sense? So as simple as I can make it, it's just a name. You make a connection on LinkedIn, through a network, and through the informational interview. If you do a good job of being professional, courteous, following up, you're going to become friends. And it's those friendships, those relationships that are going to open up a door for you for an internship or for a job, okay? Now, if you really want to dive into this, I'll just do this quickly. You can go watch Christopher's first talk at the P2B site, Power to Become site at www.byui.edu/P2B. We created a little video that talks about how you can learn to network using this way. And then Christopher gave a second talk about how to win the interview. So here's the examples of your CRE document. Before I show you those, make sure we end in the next couple minutes. Any questions that anybody has about this kind of process? Any ideas, concerns, frustrations, yahoos? All right. It works. I've helped and coached hundreds of people to do this, and it works if you leverage this system, this tool, this method of turning a name, a contact, into a relationship. Okay, Alexa, thank you. All right, here we go. Example 1, 2 parts. You're going to identify some, can be just one, mentor. And then you're going to reach out to the mentor. And some of these you might have to guess. You know, I doubt that this student called up Sherry Dew and asked her a question. You could, or Condoleezza Rice, probably a sense of this, what the Savior would say. But if you can, reach out to them and ask them a question. Part 2 is a board of advisors, okay? There's no set number on this board, right? It can be 5, it can be 4, it can be 7. But who would you want around the table with just a statement or a sentence or 2 or 3 about why is Susan or Karen or Buzz on your board, okay? Example 2, mentor. This person's mentor was the dad, her dad. I'm assuming her, maybe him, is my dad, and here's the advice that this student got from her dad. I'll say her, okay? Second step, board, okay? Here's the board. Chairman, Heavenly Father, Joseph Smith, Mom and Dad, Melissa, Kyle Black, good friend of mine actually, religion teacher on campus, Gordon B. Hinckley, and Jeffrey R. Hall. I can tell you this might be a little bit older, but was maybe not, it says the prophet of her youth, okay? So that's the 2 examples, okay? Any questions or comments about the assignment this week? Oh, I do need to do this really quickly. I'm going to stop this share because I haven't made a slide for it, but this is actually an assignment that you'll need to be doing. So I'm going to do a new share really quickly. I'm going to go to my desktop, and can you guys see my browser? Someone nod their head or tell me, can you see the browser? Okay. So where you're going to go to, I actually have this bookmarked. You're going to go to ldsces.org to a place called BYUI Connect. And in order to get the full 10 points, you have to fill out a little quiz. Not a quiz, it's kind of a checkbox, did 1, 2, and 3. You'll need to sign into this community. And this community is a little bit like LinkedIn, but it's only BYU Idaho students and BYU Idaho alumni. Now, you can also branch out if you want to, and you can go to, as a visiting student, to BYU Connect, to BYU Hawaii, BC Connect, this is Business College, soon to be Ensign College, and connect with their alumni, okay? The second job that you're going to do is you're going to all join a group. And there's all these groups. They're divided by college. There's a couple of non-college groups. Power to Become is an example. You could say, I'm going to do the College of Education and Human Development, or you could do BYU Idaho Professionals. Okay, 185 members. We've also added a pre-law one. You just need to join the group. Okay, super simple. Just click on it, join group, and we'll get you into the group. Now, hopefully it's not just a one-off assignment where you signed in and joined the group. Actually participate in the group. Ask a question, post something, share something. And then the third one is you're invited to reach out and you just hit explore the community, and you're going to find somebody and just going to make a connection. And making a connection is super simple. We're not going to quiz, did you actually call them up or do an interview? You're welcome to do that. But as you can see, we got almost 6,291 members. Right now, there's 217 people online. And you can go in here and say, I want to search for something general, or by a major, or by a location, or by an industry. So let's say I'm interested in construction, okay? Or you could do construction management major. I'm going to hit apply, and that's going to bring up our alumni who have been, or have been, it says, did I do construction? These all look like, well, these all look like marketing people. I hope that's not a messed up thing. Okay, they have somewhere in their work experience. So here's construction. So let's say that you're interested in connecting with Matt Zeck in Twin Falls. All you have to do is hit Let's Connect, and it's going to give you an opportunity to, it's being slow, likely my internet at home and the fact that I'm on this Zoom meeting. You can just send them a little note and say, hey, let's connect, and they will respond, okay? So, BYU iConnect, that's a little bit of an assignment. So, Eliza, thank you for that testimonial. She says, I was able to reach out to someone on there, BYU iConnect, and he was super helpful. 100% prefer BYU iConnect over LinkedIn. That's an unpaid testimonial. You're going to get extra credit, Eliza, just for that. All right, our time's up. I promised 30 minutes. I've gone 2 minutes over. We'll end the recording and excuse all of you, unless if you have any questions, please just stay on and we can chat. Okay, so Braden, hang on. I'll do this really quick. I can do it super fast. So he's asking where it is on the assignment. So I'm going to hop on to, just in case someone needs this. I'm going to go into iLearn. Please sign in. Oh, there it is. Okay. iLearn. And I'll go to one of my sections. I have two actually. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to modules. We're going to go to lesson 5. And right here, it is called Insight Sharing. It's kind of poorly named. Insight Sharing, and here's the assignment. Go to LDS-CSL, or you can just click on that link, join the community, connect with an alumni, and join a group. So those are the 3 things, and then just fill in the checklist. Say hi, Isaac.
Hi.
All right. Does that answer your question? Okay, got it. All right. I'm going to stop the recording. We'll excuse all of you. You're flying away. Great news. And I'll stay on for any questions. And we'll see you next week.
Good night.